Welcome back, Gran Turismo fans. So if you watch my race videos, you know that I'm always talking about not battling too much in the early stages of a race because it wastes time, you lose touch with the leaders, you can end up being caught by people behind. That's not what this race is. This race is the polar opposite of that. It's basically non-stop action. And it's my great pleasure to show you what Gran Turismo can look like when drivers put sportsmanship above a race result. So why did this race turn out differently from the norm then? Well, that's in part due to what I did on Monday, or what I didn't do on Monday. This account that you are looking at the moment had a DR reset. I can't even remember where it happened. I want to say it was Le Mans Group C several months ago, and I basically haven't touched this account since because it got reset down to AB. Now, when I saw Deep Forest again this week, I thought, okay, bit sick of Deep Forest. Maybe this is a good opportunity to go back to this account and level it up back to A+. So on Monday I wasn't in the top split races where you normally see me alongside Digit, the other streamers and all those fast alien drivers. So I on Monday was in AS lobbies mostly. I was even in a couple of B lobbies because of the SR. So it took me most of Monday to get this account back to A+. So I came back to the game on Tuesday and carried on racing in hopes of finding a video, but seeing as GTWS official season is on, the races had really died out quite a lot, and this was the only race, the last race of the day, where there were enough other fast drivers to make a good race, that mainly being the top 4 drivers that you're looking at here. So heading into the hairpin for lap 1, and you can see here that Marcos accidentally hits me from behind. Now he didn't mean to do this. This is a driver I had raced a few times today, and you'll see here that he flashes the headlights to say sorry. So I had not encountered Marcos that I'm aware of before. Maybe I have, not sure, but I learnt in this day of racing that he's a very clean and apparently fast driver. So yeah, real pleasure to race you, Marcos, thank you. That did lose us contact though with the guys in front, and with the custom slip this is the kind of distance where you could quite easily lose touch if you make a mistake or if they work with each other. But as I said, I think all 4 drivers here recognised very early on that we could comfortably break away from the rest of the field, and I think that's why all 4 drivers are willing to go for battles very early on. So you saw there that Jakey went for a move on Mata Jr. Mata Jr. I think is very young apparently, probably best known at the moment as the other fast Croatian after Digit of course, but yeah, it seems to be someone who's getting very fast very quickly, as young people very often do. So heading back up to the hairpin for the second time of asking, and just trying to make sure that I close the gap here to these 2 guys. The leader there is ERA Jakey, who races for Race Asylum, predominantly I think a league racer. I've had some contact with RA but don't know too many of the individuals that well, but it's nice to see Jakey, because I understand he's a very fast driver, so nice to see him in a daily. A nice opportunity to actually race him, and we greeted each other, and hopefully maybe we'll see each other again in future races. I certainly have intentions of doing league races at some point in the future. So heading down to start lap 3 then, and you'll see here that Mata Jr. goes for a move on Jakey, again battling right from the start of the race. He goes deep into the corner, Jakey sees it coming, sees it happening, gives him room and pulls back for the switcheroo. Really nicely done there, both drivers showing each other respect. I'm sure Mata Jr. would have preferred to stick the apex, but it's very hard to judge your braking points with this custom slip. I know Digit said that on stream, because you approach the corner at a different speed every single time, so a certain amount of it is guesswork, and that's why you see fast drivers getting it wrong still. I'm still personally not really a fan of this custom slip. This race accepting, it doesn't usually promote clean driving standards. So I think the ideal for me would be to have the slipstream strength from the real slipstream, but the dirty air from the custom slipstream. So for what it's worth, to add my small voice to the multitude of other larger content creators that have been asking for that, I fully agree. So heading into the hairpin again for the 3rd time, and Mata goes for a slightly wider line, and I have to take slightly avoiding action, and that gives Marcos an opportunist move up the inside. Not a lot happened there for the next 3 laps, so we jumped forwards to lap 6 in the pit entry. It was almost as if all 4 drivers just instinctively knew that we had been battling quite a bit and we needed to settle down for a few laps just to make sure that we did gap the field and then carry on battling. And when I say carry on battling, as you can literally see, as soon as we exited the pits, Marcos straight up the inside of Mata Jr. and resume battling. So yeah, that was quite curious, because I had literally thought to myself at the end of lap 3, I thought, okay, look, we're obviously faster than the rest of the field, but if it keeps going like this, they are going to be catching us. And it was literally just as if every single one of the 4 drivers just instinctively held station and didn't do anything. So that's why we cut that section out and jumped forwards to the pit entry, and then we are now on lap 7. So I don't know what strategy the other guys had in mind, but for me, I was aiming to try and be in, ideally, P2 heading into the last corner on the last lap, and then try and slipstream the leader to the line. And I don't think I'm the only one that had the same ultimate idea, because you can see here that no one really wants to be in P3 or P4. So literally every opportunity to go for an overtake, people are going for overtakes, which is great to see. You know, it's really nice to see people racing rather than holding line astern, because we're not worried about any threats from behind. And it's just great to see how clean this race was. Every single time someone went for a move, everyone was respectful with it. So going into turn 1 on this occasion, and now this time both Mata and Marcos pull out to go for a move. Mata again runs deep, Jakey again sees it. We're in the same situation again, only this time there is contact, and unfortunately Mata gets spun around. My initial reaction at the time, in the heat of the moment, was that I felt Mata probably should have backed out of that, because he had gone very deep into the corner, and if I was in Jakey's position, I don't think I would have expected Mata to still be there, to still have an overlap. I think I would have tried to back out of that situation had it been me. However, watching the replay afterwards, Mata still did have a small overlap, and therefore I think Jakey could have given a bit more room. But with those extenuating circumstances, I would say that that's just a racing incident, because we know full well that Jakey is a good driver with a good reputation. So yeah, these things do happen. It's hard racing with this custom slip. And then we can see again the caliber of Jakey's racecraft here, in that Marcos goes for a move and definitely could have braked a little bit later. It was almost as if Jakey didn't know whether to give him room or not, but still chose to give him room. So heading down on the straight one more time, what I tried to do here was give Jakey a little bump draft and try to initiate the two of them battling with each other, in the hope that one of them might make a mistake or get a penalty going side by side, wheel to wheel with each other. It definitely worked in initiating trying to get them to battle each other, but it didn't work in either one of them making a mistake. So when we jump back round to the next lap, this time I decided to go for a different strategy and just get myself involved. You can see I haven't really been too involved in the battling at this point, but this is the moment where I decide to change that. So I send it up the inside of Marcos this time, really trying to hug that curb to make sure that he's got room. Again, beautiful driving from both drivers, a pleasure to be part of this race. Moving forwards to the hairpin at the end of that lap, you can see that we're all holding line astern at this particular moment, and then heading back onto the main straight. This one's a little bit more interesting, so you can see that several drivers have gone for a move into the turn 1 almost every single time we've come down into turn 1. I did it last time, and I know Marcos is going for a move on me this time, so now we're all going for a move this time, and we end up in this beautiful 3-way entry into turn 1. I'm stuck in an RCZ sandwich. The only way for me to come out of that alive and not kill someone in the process was to back out of it. Yeah, beautiful moment to see 3-way into that turn. And coming around onto the next lap, this time Marcos goes for a move up the inside, and I hate when this move is pulled on me. So I hate being in Jakey's position here, but yeah, you can do this if the guy in front goes for a move and you can get close enough you can follow through and the guy on the outside has no choice. Unfortunately, when that move is normally pulled off by people, it's overly ambitious. They see the car in front going for a move and they desperately try to follow and just end up ploughing into the car that's being overtaken, forcing their way through. So that right there is what it should look like. You need to get really close and follow through as one train, as one tightly compact car on the inside, so that the outside driver, it's almost like they're being overtaken by one long car as opposed to two cars very close. That's how it should be done. So earlier I said I was looking to try and be in P2 heading into the hairpin on the last lap. And on lap 12 I decided maybe the best way to affect that is to try and be in P1 on the penultimate lap. So I go for a move and go very deep and get it all kinds of wrong. I honestly was incredibly surprised that wasn't a penalty, and I'm genuinely unsure why it wasn't a penalty. So there's obviously something about the penalty line that I don't understand there, or maybe it's the fact that I was still on the brake heavily trying to slow the car down. The game recognised that. I don't know. Occasions like that, it's almost like the penalty system is quite intelligent and did the right thing, and then on other occasions, well, you don't need me to tell you what the penalty system is like. So obviously lost a little bit of time there and start overdriving the car a little bit, trying to catch up, because whilst I'm still very much in touch, at this distance I'm not in the fight. I can't actually get involved here or do anything. So yeah, started overdriving the car a little bit, trying to catch up. Little mistakes there, you can see getting on the grass, getting the back end out, going a little bit deep here. Settled it down a little bit coming into this section. Got these through corners, kind of nice. I'm not a big fan of Deep Forest. I do need to mention that it's definitely one of my weaker tracks in a very different way to what maybe, for example, if you watch my previous videos, Bathurst. So I consider Bathurst to be a weak track, but because I'd never really raced it that much, I didn't really understand it. Having raced it a bit more, I like the track, I enjoy the track, I always did enjoy the track. I just need to understand it better. Deep Forest, obviously I've raced here a lot. It's about the most used track in Gran Turismo at the moment, and in either direction I feel like I don't really perform to my best. So it's not really, or I suppose it is a lack of understanding the track, but it's not a lack of familiarity with the track. I just don't get on with it. There's just a flow here that I find it hard to stay in. So they're both side by side heading here into turn 1 for the final time. Nothing I can really do here. Can't really force my way through here, so I'm glad to have caught back up, and I'm fairly confident even at this level that something is going to happen between now and the end of the race imminently. So can't force my way past, just looking for opportunities, just looking for one of them making a mistake. At the moment all I can really think of doing here is trying to go for a move into the final hairpin and hoping that that puts me in P2 with a slipstream. But normally if you're going in for a move into the hairpin you will get a bad exit, so kind of thinking P2 is the best I can get here. Marcos runs wide. I'm surprised no one had done that at this point. He didn't initially realise he had a penalty because he came over to try and defend it, but then once he had a penalty, obviously he's out of the equation, because that will now be a 1 second penalty crossing the line, and this puts me where I needed to be, which is P2 heading into the final turn. So I set myself up to get a slightly wider line than Jakey and slipstream him to the line. Unfortunately there's contact there from Marcos behind, and that just causes the car to slide a little bit on the exit, and we lose that traction and that momentum that could have helped me slipstream Jakey for the win. But it's fine, you know, it's no big deal. Marcos again didn't mean to do it, and when I looked at the replay he actually deliberately backed off again just to let me know that it was an accident. But I didn't really mind where I came in this race, whether it was first, second, third or fourth. It was just fun to really race people and demonstrate to you guys what Gran Turismo can really be when people actually care about sportsmanship and put that first. So as always, thank you so much for watching my video. I've got plans for a couple of tuition videos coming up, but they're taking me a little while to edit because there's a lot of segments to piece together, and I've got to learn how to do things with the editing that I don't currently do. So in the meantime I will just be trying to bring you interesting race videos when I have one. Thank you as always for watching, take care, see you guys later.